What's up, guys? Mezuki coming at you with another retro deck profile. Today, being Halloween and all that, I thought it would be fun to look at my King of Skull Servants deck. Since I already did a couple different zombie builds, I did Diva Zombie and Zombie Plant, so I thought it'd be fun to do my own build in a less fun deck. I couldn't find any tops for this deck until Grass came out, and I'm not really a fan of anything after Duelist Alliance, really. So I figured I would go with the Duelist Alliance format because we got Prince. And this deck actually does have a decent doll matchup because you don't have to special summon more than once, so Winda doesn't really, hurt you that much. So we have our 3 kings, 1,000 attack for every Skull Servant in the graveyard, and then it can revive itself if it's destroyed by battle. This deck's biggest downfall is definitely it's not very resistant to monster destruction. In terms of spells and traps, yeah, you have your ladies, but if you're gonna get run over by things, things like Queen Tiramisu or anything that removes with a monster effect as opposed to spell and traps, this deck has a hard time dealing with. So we do play some like monster negation and things like that. Only 2 of the new card. The reason I chose to do Duelist Alliance again because we get this card. Only 2 because it has to send a vanilla. And it has to, so the fact that it has like specific cards that it has to send means you don't really like get to abuse it as much, but we can abuse the same one over and over again. So if we discard it, gets its effect. If we send it from the deck, it gets its effect. If we detach it for an Exceed because we play rank 1s, it gets its effect, things like that. So anytime it hits the graveyard, we can trigger Wightprince and kind of mess with that. And then it does have its banish effect to get King straight from the deck, which is really nice. It does not get its effect when it's returned via Burial because Burial doesn't send, but it is what it is. Card's still really good. We have our 3 Lady. This is the card that you really want out, especially if your opponent has a lot of back row. You want to make sure you get this card out. You want to summon it before you summon your King. You want to use a Book of Life, a Mezuki, anything you can to get this card on the board. 2200 defense is really nice. The fact that you can set it and it could potentially live on a turn 1 if you go set Lady and Wight, they attack into it and they can't get over it. Then you have the ability to protect your King, which is really nice, and it protects from blanket mass destruction, like if they Dark Hole, Torrential, things like that. It's the same ruling as like Draco Sack with a token, so where it will stay. We have our 3 Wightmares. This is just a really versatile card. We can discard it to manipulate our graveyard, things like that. I don't play Dark Arm Dragon because I just don't feel the card is very good in this format in terms of like actually hitting the board and getting 3 darks because we typically have way more than 3. So I don't play Dark Armed, even though you can kind of manipulate it with the Wightmare and with the Prince. But a lot of times it's just really suboptimal to get a Dark Armed on the board. And then we have our 3 Vanilla Skull Servants. To round out the King part of the deck. We do have a couple support monsters as well for it. Of course, the 3 Mezuki. This card is really good. The fact that you can use it to bring back King or Lady. A lot of times you'll do that if your opponent has like 3 or 4 back row. You could just banish this card and then summon your Lady, and then either summon your King or 1/1 your King or Zombie Master your King. We do want to discard a lot of times with our especially with cards like our vanillas and stuff like that, and cards that are bad, or if we draw Prince, we really just want to be able to discard those cards and get them in the graveyard, and we need a way to do that. So Zombie Master, plus this is really good to be able to access rank 4s, which is really important because we want to be able to get to Lavalval Chain, which we could set Prince and then send 2 more, and we're just fueling our graveyard, and we're just kind of spiraling pretty quickly there. So that's kind of nice. So I do like the ability to just make rank 4s really easily, which is like normal summon, and then bring back Mezuki. And then we have 3 Mathematician. I chose this over Curry Bandit because I felt like drawing card, the draw was kind of important because, again, our hand size can get pretty low with discarding, or just because we have to, use a lot of resources to make it play. This is not a good deck. Just throwing that out there right now. This is not a high tier or anything. It's not good, but it's just a fun deck, and it's fun to play casually if your opponent is not playing a deck that has a bunch of monster effect removal. So And then the last monsters we play are 3 tour guides. Obviously, this is Abuse and Burning Abyss. This was the Doll Burning Abyss Atellar Knight format. And then occasionally you'd see like a Boojin pop up every once in a while. Until all those decks got more support. But the access to Leviair is really important because of the Prince banishing. So that way we can like Prince banish and summon King. And then we can summon this and then Leviair out a lady in white that we have banished, which is really nice. So in order to protect our monsters as well. So the fact that we can, Leviair is just so important in this deck. There's so many plays with it. That, and we can try and sack our opponent with Dante. So that is also kind of nice to have the ability to have a monster that mills. And that is it for the monsters. Let's get on to the spells. You can bump this down to 1 and play more traps if you want to, or play more Effect Negation. I'm playing 2 Book of Life just because I feel like having combo heavy cards, it's a lot more fun that way, just to go after the game a little bit more and extend your plays, or if something happens to one of your monsters, or again just bringing out Lady and then bringing out King, just the ability to normal summon one and then Book of Life the other and protect your monsters. This card is absolutely insane in this deck. Burial. The fact that you can, it's a quick play, so you can kind of cheese it a little bit if your opponent attacks, and you can just flip Burial on their turn, and all of a sudden you're 3,000 attack points higher, and they have no idea what's coming. So it's like almost like a pseudo shrink, but mostly you just want to use your Prince, banish it, and then use its effect, bring out King, and then put everything back, or put your Mezukis back, which is another good play there. Using Mezuki to bring out King from the graveyard is better, in my opinion, than Prince because you don't lose all the names. One for one, it summons King directly from the deck, so we play that, and then we can discard and various King cards in order to make sure that we're gaining attack, and that has the extra 1,000. For drawing cards, we have the one of Allure of Darkness, and then because our deck kind of sucks, 3 Upstart Goblins. Even good decks are playing 3 Upstarts, so you can kind of bump this down to 2 again. There's a lot of wiggle room with this if you'd even want to not play it. The original build that I was playing back in the day, it did take this to a regional. I wasn't playing these. I was playing like Book of Moon. I was playing a couple extra traps like Warning and stuff like that. So, like I said, there's room for creativity if you're just like kind of curious about what you want to do with it. If you just want to play a fun Duelist Alliance deck, there's wiggle room. 1 Foolish Burial, Mezuki, Prince, all your generic targets, and then we have 2 MSTs for back row removal because we have Lady. We don't necessarily need to go all in on MSTs, and that is it for the spells. For traps, we also have 2 Wing Blast again for discard. This card is really good non-destruction removal. A lot of things seem to be impervious to destruction for this format. For me, in my opinion, the best trap card is the one of Compulse. Again, Wing Blast can also set your opponent back a turn and get rid of back row. End phase Wing Blast is really good. Compulse to get rid of like windows, constructs, things like that. And then the last trap card, again, like I said, we need Effect Negation, 2 Breakthrough Skill, the ability to negate an effect, and then if you do need to turn off Winda, you can, use your Breakthrough Skill from your graveyard on your turn and kind of clear that out. The hands had fallen out of popularity, but I still think Breakthrough Skill is just better than Fiendish Chain. I know Ice Hand just like eats up dead Fiendish Chains and things like that. That you can kind of see them in the side decks as well if you're really, really into this format and you are side decking fairly often. And then we'll get on to the extra deck. That's it for the main deck. Obviously 40 cards with the 37 with the upstarts. 1 Slacker Magician, just kind of like a stall card. You really just need stall cards, and you need the ability to like detach your rank 1s. So we have that, and then we have for our free detach, we have the 1 Dullahan. Rank 3 is probably the most important. We have 1 Zenmaines, and then like I said, we really do need access to Leviair. So we have our 2 Leviairs. Again, summoning banished monsters is really important in this deck. We need to be able to get our ladies back so we can safely summon our king, so that our opponents can't really do anything to it. 1 Alucard pop set cards, and then the 1 of Dante for the last rank 3. Again, we can mill, we can be a beater. This kind of just replaces Leviathan Dragon because of the fact that we can. We mill cards and we want to be able to send things to our deck to our graveyard. 101 onto the rank 4s, and 1 Castel. I I know a lot of the time that people were dropping 101 in favor of just playing 2 Castel. I haven't really given it enough testing, but I do. I like having the options for having both. Exciton, because our hand size is almost always going to be smaller than our opponent's. Lavalval Chain, again, the sending to the graveyard. Controlled milling, again, same logic with the Mathematicians. It's really important. 1 Direwolf, pop cards, free detach. You can use Mezuki to, like, Zombie Master, Mezuki, and then detach, and then pop it. So you could pop a card, and then you can bring the Mezuki, use the Mezuki again. So that way you're not losing the Mezuki under your monster for a while. You're not in free detaching, and you're being able to get rid of a card. 1 Giant Hand for an effect negation. Like I said, we need to negate effects. 1 Dweller for graveyard things, and then 1 Downerd Magician as the last Exceed. We can plot this over our rank 1s and allow it to become basic rather than just being a stall card, so we can turn defense into offense. Let me know what you guys think of the deck. Be sure to like and subscribe for more retro format content, and thanks for watching, guys.